Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name is Ray, the Market Trader. And before we get started, we'll need to run through our risk disclosure. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, here we go. All right, so just a reminder that the content that's being provided by the Market Trader and its affiliates is for general information purposes only. It is not intended as investment advice or a solicitation to buy, sell any security, future, option, or Forex product. Trading futures, options, and Forex involves a substantial amount of risk. It's not suitable for all investors, and you may lose all or more your initial investment. Only risk capital funds that you can otherwise afford to lose should be used for trading, and the company assumes no liability for any losses resulting from use or misuse of such information. And past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure here, guys, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention over to the news portal, okay? And we're going to go ahead and take a look here and see what kind of news do we have today that could potentially impact the markets. Well, we just haven't interesting. Normally we would have a far larger list of things, but we have a very light list. I don't know if a lot of these normal things that we normally get on Friday, usually we get some inflationary numbers, but it looks like we only have a few members of the couple of members of the Fed speaking, and we have a trophy presentation, Trump, which I don't believe should impact the markets, but in any case, it seems like we have a very light day today in the way of news. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on now to the trading platform. All right, and we'll take a look here and see what kind of news do we have. Actually, not news, but let's see what kind of context we can pull from the market here. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with the gold market, okay? And we'll start off quickly with the daily. Again, daily kind of giving us the same indication. We have kind of an inside day here, so the possibility of range kind of price action increases a bit, right? So with the inside candle here, okay? So still very much in some bearish price action, okay? So let's just gonna disable this here for a moment. Yeah, so again, you can see that we're still very much in some bearish kind of price structure, but this most recent candle, the current candle or developing candle, is inside, so indicating that there's possibility a fair amount of range price action today. Okay. We have a high here of 48.70 or 48.69. Let's see, I'm just looking at this candle here. See, high of 48.68.7 and a low of 48.505. Okay, so obviously 4,500 is showing us, is giving us some indication that it is a kind of supportive area. All right, in a market that's showing quite a bit of bearish kind of price action of late. Okay, we're going to go ahead now and take a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, again, you can see that the range kind of price action that I've been kind of alluding to of late. Again, we are below the visible range volume profile. We're seeing that on the DMI, that we're getting a DMI reading of again still a good amount of control here on the bear side, and our ADX is close to the 60 range. So still a fair amount of selling pressure in this market. Okay, moving on to the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart, you can see that we've been in some sort of range here. I'm going to turn off an indicator that I was kind of experimenting with yesterday. So these are some indicators that are provided as part of my subscription. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so we'll start off with a fixed range volume profile. We'll take a look and see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action here. Okay, and I drag this across to the close, and you can see that we are above, right? We are above the values area from yesterday. Okay, this area has shown down below here, right around the, was that 46.33 level, or is that 40? Yeah, 40. So yeah, 46.33 level does appear to be an area of some level of support. Okay. Let's take a look now at the initial balance ranges across the various sessions. We'll start off with the Asia market. Asia market, we'll go ahead and turn that on here. Okay, so Asia was for the most part bullish. So you see a fair amount of bullish price action in gold. Okay, so a fair amount of bulls. But then as the London market, right, as we enter the London market, you can see that the price reversed in the other direction. Okay, so kind of indicating to us that we are in some sort of range in this market. Okay, so bullish on the Asia side, bearish on the London side. So the question now becomes, well, which kind of side is the U.S. session going to offer us? Well, let's take a quick look here at the day session. All right, taking a look at the day session, you can see that we're creating for now a relatively tight range. Looks like we have, at least for now, rejected lower with this candle here. We've kind of rejected lower prices. Okay, so maybe there is the possibility that we could potentially have a leg maybe to the upside here. Okay, would not be out of the question, because I do see that price is above value, right, above value from yesterday, and we have, you know, kind of developed a few candles here, or closed a few candles here to the upside. Okay, so I guess right now we have a candle that at least for now took a peak here at lower pricing, has not actually made a new high here of yet. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of candle break we get, right, of this range. Do we get a candle break that breaks the upside of the range? Then that opens up the high of the range as a target. And if we break below, well, then maybe this level that has been served as kind of support could potentially get challenged again. Okay, so I'm going to go with more of a. I'm gonna give it more of a neutral to maybe. I'm gonna still hold the bearish rating here, guys. Neutral to bearish rating on the gold market. I know it's kind of anticipating maybe the possibility of some maybe bullish, just because of the fact that we are above this value range. But I look at the overall structure here, and we are still very much in some bearish structure, maybe slightly bullish of late here. But nonetheless, overall, I would say that the dominant participant in this case is still on the bearish side. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the silver market, and we'll take a look at the daily chart and see what kind of context we can get. Again, similar to what we saw in gold, right? We have a developing candle that's an inside candle from the range, relatively large range that we received yesterday in the silver market, and we are in the middle of it. Okay. So kind of indicating that, again, similar to what we mentioned here in gold, that there's a possibility that we could remain in some sort of range here. Okay. Now you can see here that we are below the visible range volume profile here on the right. So indicating maybe there is a fair amount of participation here to the downside in this market. Trying to see what this baby blue line that we have down below. Not sure what that is. Okay, let's take a look here at the I'm going to take a look here at the volume delta. Volume delta is pretty neutral. DMI still giving us an indication that there is a fair amount of strength here to the downside in the silver market. Let's see, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what this baby blue line is. Let's see if I turn this off, but this is control that. What is this? Oh, it's an anchored VWAP from who knows where. Okay. All right. Anchor VWAP from some unknown location. Let's see. Oh, way back here in the middle of July. So again, anchor VWAP from July still tells us that we're still above it, right? So, but that's pretty far away. Okay. So still, still bullish, but in a market that's kind of in range here. Okay. Take a look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here for a moment. Again, similar to what we were seeing in the gold market, where you can see that the market is in some sort of bearish price structure here to the downside. Okay, we've come close to this anchor VWAP down below back in the mid July here now, and we've had some reaction, but we haven't really made any significant higher highs or higher lows. So indicating that we are still in some structure that indicates that we could continue lower. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, kind of similar to what we're seeing in the gold market here. Okay, we got a little bit of interest here to the upside. I'm going to go ahead and open up my initial balance here across the various sessions here, and we'll take a peek here. It looks like we had some interest. Let's see, open up the fixed range volume profile here for Asia. Okay, actually, let's take that one there. Okay, and yeah, so you can see that there was some interest here on the bullish side of the market. We got to about the 200% extension, and then once we got to the London market, looks like we picked up opposite interest, right? More bears in this market, right? So right now, as long as price remains below, right, this initial balance range, I think it appears that maybe we are headed lower in this market. So a little bit, I would say maybe even a little bit more bearish on the silver than we were on the gold market. I'm going to take a quick peek here at the fixed range volume profile and see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and locate Thursday, and we're going to drag that across to the close. And you can see that we're back inside the value range, right? Gold was above the value range, and silver is back inside of it. So would not surprise me in the least if price were to come back to the lower end of value. Okay, now that price has managed to come back inside, this would be a logical destination for the price action that we're currently seeing in this market, right? Looks like we developed a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern here. We're breaking the shoulder to the downside. So I would say headed into the market, headed into the New York session, that I'm gonna say call it more range to bearish. Okay, range to bearish in the silver. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the crude oil market and see what the crude oil market has to offer today. And we're going to take a look here at the daily, kind of a sloppy chart, to be honest. Here, a lot of overlapping candles, a lot of wicks on these candles, a lot of volatility in these candles, but really lacking any sort of direction. So there's obviously a little bit of a battle here in keeping prices at a manageable level here. Right now, it's kind of settling in at around $95 here, but market is indeed in some sort of range, right? And again, structure still remains to the upside. Okay, so we haven't really broken any significant structure here to the downside. So we are, based on the daily, still in a bullish environment. Taking a look at the 4-hour, you can see that we've been in some sort of range here of late in this market. Okay, a little bit more in the way of range, right? A lot more in the way of overlapping price here. Okay, a lot more in the way of overlapping price. As I mentioned before, if I can contain price in the box, then I'm in some sort of range, right? I can contain price in the box. So we are in some sort of range in this market. All right, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart, again, you can see that range that we drew on the 4-hour here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the fixed range volume profile for the U.S. session here and see what kind of market we're in here. And you can see that price is below value. Okay, we're below the value range for the crude oil market, right? We got a nice little reaction away, right, indicating that we're still very much in bearish control here. Okay, so here we are. We got a push to the downside, a push below value, a rally back to it, and we got a nice little reaction. Now we are seeing maybe the buyers kind of step in. The price was not able to get as low as it did earlier, indicating that maybe we are getting a little bit in the way of some buying interest, and that's also noted here on the volume delta, right? So there is some buying coming in to this market. Market is showing maybe some signs of interest on the bullish side. Okay, so take a look here at the. I was going to take a look here at the initial balance ranges across the various sessions here. We're going to go ahead and take a look and see what kind of price action we've been seeing of late, various sessions. We'll start off with the gold, not the gold, but the Tokyo session. Okay, there we are. Okay, so you can see that Asia was, for the most part, range bound. We had a good push, to the downside. See, I watch this chart when crude goes down. I run and fill my truck, like we all do, Sinclair, like we all do, right? So in any case, guys, so you can see that price, again, made an attempt here to make to go lower. That was short-lived, right? So we got the market to kind of absorb this, and now we've seemed to have caught a little bit of a bid, okay, in this market of late. We've created a little bit of a demand zone here, right around the what's this, 93.50 level seems to be the demand, and then our levels are increasing as we move further to the right here. Okay, so again, I would say in the shorter run, I would say that it's a market that is in some sort of range, right? And I would say that we're probably on the bullish side of that range right now. Okay, we still are not out of the woods. I think we had a nice little reaction away from the value area low, and now the question becomes, can we make a new high? And if so, then maybe we could come back to some of the highs that were established back here, 98 or so. But right now, I would say this level here around the low end of value at 96.42 is going to be a relatively important level for the bulls if they are going to be able to sustain any move to the upside. Okay, 96.42 seems to be that area. Okay, all right, let's go ahead now. We got a feel for the metals and the crude oil market. We'll go ahead and turn our attention over to the equity markets. We'll start off with the NASDAQ here, okay? And we'll go ahead and remove some of our drawings. We'll start off with a daily, okay? So daily, again, I would say right now, daily is kind of giving us the indication of range to lower, okay? Range to lower is kind of the view that I have of the daily, right? We see a lot in the way of overlapping candles. We have a candle that opened above, only to find sellers. So daily chart indicating to me that maybe there is still some bearish pressure in this market. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, I would say more of the same, just more candles. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here for a moment and take a look and see what kind of price action we're receiving of late here on the 4-hour side. Okay, so you can see again, market again can be contained in a box, right? Here's my box. Market is I can contain the market in a box, indicating that I am in some sort of range. We're at the low end of value, so this low end of value could offer us maybe another possible leg to the upside, right? In this market, right? We're coming into an area of demand. And we can continue remaining in this range. I see that based on the reaction that we're getting with this candle of late, I'm going to go ahead and adjust this and indicate to us that there is a little bit of a supportive area here around 24,300 in this market. Okay, assuming that candle does indeed close, maybe there's a 3-bar reversal pattern in the horizon. that's coming together here in the NASDAQ that could offer us maybe a potential leg back to the highs. Okay. Taking a look at the fixed range volume profile here, just to compare where price is in relation to current price action here. See, well, this is 4 hour. Let's take a look here now at the 30-minute. We'll pop into the 30-minute. We'll compare the fixed range volume profile for the recent New York session here. Right about there. Drag that across to the close here. And there we are. Okay, so you can see that we're back inside the value range, back inside an area of balance. Okay, so indicating that there's maybe some agreement, at least for price at the moment, between the bulls and the bears, right? We're inside value. We're not at the extremes of value. So the fact that we managed to close back inside after we had a break to the downside, I would say is significant. I think it's a significant development, right? We got to push to the outside, but it was met with not more selling, but buying. Okay, so if we can get above, again, I think maybe a tall task here, but if we can get above this 24,600 level, that could maybe potentially lead to maybe a leg to the upside. Okay, we are seeing some price action of late that would indicate that maybe some bulls have kind of stepped into this market here of late. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look now at the initial balance ranges for the various sessions. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Asia session. Was pretty much range bound, right? Asia was pretty much range bound, and London was a bit on the bearish side. Okay, right. So fair amount, I would say a fair amount of bears in this market, right? If I take a look at I didn't look at this earlier, but take a look at the moving averages, we're still below a lot of the moving averages that we care about, right? So again, unless we start breaking or start creating some structure that would indicate that we are headed higher, right now it appears that we are still kind of, I would say, range to bearish, I would say is the operative word here. Range to bearish in the NASDAQ. Certainly we have some levels here that could provide us maybe locations. The 20 moving average right here could offer us a location maybe for a continuation trade to the downside. Otherwise, maybe the top of the range could also offer this area right around 24,620. Okay, so neutral to bearish, I would say, in the NASDAQ. Taking a look at the ES, we're going to go ahead and remove some of our drawings here. We'll start with a daily chart, kind of similar to what we saw in the NASDAQ. You can see even, I would say, even more prominent move here, right? Very, very systematic kind of move that we're making to the downside in this market, right? Sloping down, right? So daily chart, we are below value, indicating that there's a fair amount of interest in participating in this market to the downside. Now we are coming near an area that I would expect to be somewhat supportive, right? So we're going to go ahead and mark that level as a support zone. All right, here. Okay, so this area I would expect to be somewhat supportive. The question now becomes, do we come down to this level? Do we come down to this 65.60 level? And then does this market rally from that point? Okay, that would be aligned with what we're seeing here on the left-hand side. Okay, so an area that I think we need to kind of continue to keep an eye on. Now, price is below or working its way below the 200 moving average. I would say that that's a relatively important level. We are technically below it. Okay, technically below it as we speak, but we still have a day's worth of price action to determine whether it's going to close below that level or whether it's going to rally here at the end. Okay, so daily chart indicating a market that's still quite bearish. Moving on to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, we turn off the initial balance here for a moment, collapse this a little bit. Okay, again, similar kind of price action. Again, you can see that we are sloping to the downside, indicating that there's still a fair amount of bearish sentiment in this market. We are coming into an area, as I mentioned, that where we might see maybe some support in this market. You can see that maybe there has been a little bit of a slowdown in this move to the downside, and that's also evident in our DMI. I think we had a little bit of a slowdown in the selling pressure. Now it seems to have picked up here a little bit. Well, I think what's more indicative of maybe further price action to the downside is the fact that we have our positive DI and our negative DI kind of diverging with a rising ADX. That's a good signature for maybe a continuation move in this market to the downside. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, I'm going to go ahead and compare where price is in relation to yesterday's price action here, starting with the start of the Thursday session here. Oh, that's not it. Do this one more time. Right about there, we'll take that to the close. Okay, and you can see that we did similar to the NAS, right? We did take a peek below, right? Everybody's thinking, oh my God, I need to get into this market to the short side, only to find buyers to be stepping in right once they broke the value range from yesterday. Instead, we found some buyers and they managed to rally the market. Now, I don't think necessarily that we're necessarily out of the woods as far as the bears go, but I would say that levels like 65 or 66.50, levels like 66.70 from the bottom could offer us locations for continuation moves to the downside. Okay, these are kind of logical levels that I would be looking for, maybe for possible shorts in this market. Okay, these are a couple of levels that I would add here, right? Assuming we get the appropriate price action to indicate that these levels are going to be continued to be respected. Again, these are levels that were prior support, now potentially serving as areas of resistance. Okay. All right. So I would say again that we are continued in. I would continue to look for some maybe bearish locations above. I'm not necessarily I guess sold on the bullish price action. I mean, certainly we can get a bullish leg up to these locations, but I would expect that we would start to see some sellers kind of stepping in at the levels that I mentioned. Okay, so neutral to bearish on the ES. Taking a look at the last market, the Dow here. We're going to go ahead and remove some of our drawings here. We'll start with the daily chart. Okay, and take a look and see what the daily chart, and similar to what we're seeing in the other markets, we're seeing a market that looks quite bearish. Looking at the DMI, it's aligned with that bearish kind of direction. Okay, ADX reading of 40. Right now, the negative DI is relatively flat, but it's well above the positive. So again, the Dow showing, good indication that we are in some sort of bearish structure in this market. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, again, kind of staircasing our way lower. Okay. We continue to make lower lows and lower highs in this market. How far could this go? Well, I look to the left and I see that there's a level here around 45,800 that could be supportive. Okay. Beyond that, it opens up to maybe 45,000 as our low, as a target to the downside in this market, at least. Okay. If we can't hold 45,800, okay, if we can't hold 45,800, then I would say that 45,000 is not out of the realm of possibility here. Sorry, excuse me. All right, let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here, and then we'll kind of summarize kind of where we stand on this market, or summarize kind of our position on all the markets here. Okay, so it looks like we've come into maybe an area of some support. Again, we see a nice little leg to the downside. Again, I'm not really sold on this bullish kind of price action. I think we are still very much in some bearish structure. So I'm kind of looking to sell strength here. So 46,325 seems to be kind of a logical area for maybe, something that would, come up to this level and maybe come back down. Okay, something along those lines, right? Resume our bearish kind of price action in this market. Okay, or maybe as high as 46,500, right? Maybe we come up to that level, 46,500, and then we make another move to the downside. So I would say on the Dow, like the other equity markets, I'm neutral to bearish. Okay, so let's take one final look across all the markets here. Okay, so again, we're seeing a little bit in the way of some bullish action of late here in the gold. I would say in the higher time frame, you could see that the market is in some sort of range. I would say that as long as we can hold above value here, that there's a reasonable chance that we could head higher in this market. If the market comes back inside value, then I think we continue just this general path of more bearish kind of price action in this market. Taking a look at one final look at the silver market. So take a look at silver here. Silver, similar kind of view here. We'll go ahead and remove some of these drawings here. But again, you can see that the market is relatively bearish. And I was going to open up this fixed range volume profile, but if I'm not mistaken, I think we're already inside the range from yesterday. So indicating a little bit more in the way of range in this market. All right. Right about there. Okay. Yeah. So we're inside range. So in my current thinking is the fact that we're inside value, that there's a possibility that we could rotate all the way to the other side of value, all the way down to 68.15. Okay. Whether that happens today is yet to be seen, but the fact that we managed to get back inside the value range, indicating that the bullish, that we didn't have enough bullish participation to continue to drive price higher in this market. And we're kind of returning to this mode that we've been in the silver for some time now. Okay, let's take a look at the crude oil. Crude oil, I would say neutral to bullish on the crude oil. I'm seeing indications that we are getting higher highs and higher lows. And then on the equity markets, starting with the Nasdaq, I'm gonna give it a neutral to bearish rating on that as well, as long as until the point we break above this 24,000, let's say 635 level, at which point maybe I change my tune, because we did attempt to make a leg lower, and that seems to have found some buyers here. Okay, so we could be in a bullish leg. I would say that certainly the first stop or potential stop is up to this 24,640, 24,650 level, at which point maybe we return to this kind of range, kind of price action that we've seen of late in the Nasdaq. So I'm gonna continue to give it the bearish rating here until and assuming if it can make a new high, then maybe we start to change our view on the Nas. But right now, I would say I'm gonna give it a neutral to bearish rating. ES. Similar, neutral to bearish. And then ultimately the Dow, neutral to bearish. Okay, is kind of my overall kind of feel for this market. Okay, so gold, neutral to potentially bullish. Crude oil, more bullish. And then I would say across all the equities, neutral to bearish. Okay. So with that, guys, I'm just going to take a peek here at the chat to see if there's any questions. Again, this is, I would say, not a day. If you've had a good week, Friday is not the day to kind of be aggressive. It's capital preservation Friday. All right. So if you've had a good week, end the week strong, right? Don't have to take all that risk on a Friday. And if you've had a poor week, then Friday is not necessarily the day that you're going to restore all that's been lost earlier, right? So probably even more conservative than you would otherwise be on Friday, right? You want to live to trade another week here. Okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and close this session like we close most sessions, and that is trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. All right. Have an excellent day trading. Okay. Again, capital preservation Friday. Okay. Trade for another day. And we'll talk again next week.